This video covers Module 9 Homework 3, and it's about solving systems of linear equations. So a system of a linear equation is just two lines, two equations put together, and we're trying to find the solution. We're trying to see where they intersect, where both lines have a point in common. So this first one says, determine which of the graphs of the system of linear equations has no solution. So if there's no solution, that means the two lines do not intersect. So which one of these have two lines that don't intersect? This would be C. The next one says, determine which of the graphs has a solution which intersects at 1, -6. So our answer would be C, because they both intersect at this one point of 1, -6. So our solution to a system of equations is an ordered pair. This is our big thing here, x, y, an ordered pair, which is the point of intersection. So if you notice, these two lines cross at one point, so there's going to be one solution. These are two lines that overlap each other. So because they overlap each other, every single point on that line is going to be a point of intersection, a point that they have in common. So this one has infinitely many solutions. This one we said intersects at one point, so there's one solution. These two lines are parallel, meaning they never intersect, so there's no solution. So those are our three options, either one solution, no solutions, or infinitely many solutions. So next we're going to determine whether this point, 5, -5, is a solution. So they give us an x, y. They give us x is 5, y is -5, and they give us 2 points. So I need to see if that point works with both of these. So I'm going to plug in that point to both equations. So my x is 5, my y is -5. 5 minus -5, those two negatives make a positive. 5 plus 5 is 10. 10 equals 10. Yes, that works. Same concept for our other equation, for our other line. We have 9 minus 2y equals 35. So we're going to plug in x is 5, y is -5. 9 times 5 is 45. -2 times -5 is positive 10. 45 plus 10 is 55. 55 does not equal 35, so no, this is not a solution. So because it didn't work for either one, our answer is no. Same concept for the next one. Determine whether 3, 4 is a solution to the system. So I'm going to plug in x is 3, y is 4 to both of my equations. 5 times 3 minus 4 times 4 equals -1. 5 times 3 is 15. -4 times 4 is -16. 15 minus 16 is -1. -1 equals -1. Those worked. Same thing for the second equation. I want to plug in my point. X is 3, y is 4. Does this work? -4 times 3 is -12. 2 times 4 is 16. No, is 8. Sorry. So -4 times 3 is -12. 2 times 4 is 8. -12 plus 8 is -4. Yes, -4 equals -4. I'm not even looking at what we're talking about. -4 equals -4. So yes, it worked. So because they both worked, our answer is yes. 3, 4 is a solution of that system. Next. It asks us to solve the system by graphing. So we're going to talk about 3 different methods of actually finding our solution, of solving this. Our first method is solving by graphing. On my math lab homework quizzes and on the test, it'll tell you which one of these 3 methods to use, and you have to use it that way. So make sure you know all 3 methods. So this first one, I have x plus y equals -2. I want to graph this line. So to graph this line, I want to put it in y equals form. So I'm going to subtract y from both sides, subtract x from both sides. We're left with y equals -x minus 2. It is now in y equals mx plus b form. I know my m is -1, which is the same thing as -1/1. So I'm rising -1, which means I'm going down 1. And we are running +1, so that means we're going in the positive direction, so right 1. From our starting point is 0, -2. That is our y-intercept, that's our b. So starting at 0, -2. That's our first point. From here, I'm going to move based off my slope to find my next point. We're going to go down 1, right 1. So down 1, right 1. Let's do a couple other points to get it where we know what we're talking about. Down 1, right 1. Down 1, right 1. Down 1, right 1. Connect the dots. There's our first line. Same concept for our next equation. We have x minus 3y equals 18. I want to solve for y. We're going to subtract x from both sides. -3y equals -x plus 18. Remember, I want it to be mx plus b, so that's why that x comes first. So we're going to divide both sides by -3 to get y by itself. So we're left with y equals -x divided by -3, because both terms are being divided by -3, over 18 divided by -3. This will leave me with y equals -1 divided by -3. 2 negatives cancel out. We're left over with 1/3 x. 18 divided by -3 is -6. Our slope is 1/3. We're going to rise 1, and we're going to run 3. We're going to go up 1, and we're going to go right 3. From my starting point, which is at 0, -6. So 0, -6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's our starting point. That's our y-intercept. From there, we're going to go up 1, over 1, 2, 3, boom, up 1, over 1, 2, 3, boom. Connect the dots. So we have our 2 lines. So now I can try to find my answer. My solution is the point where these 2 graphs cross. So this point right here, which is over 3, down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So over 3, down -5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Over 1, 2. Yep. So our solution, our answer is 3, -5. Same thing for the next one. Solve by graphing. We have 4y minus 8x equals 0, and x plus 2y equals 5. So we're going to solve this, put this in y equals mx plus b form. So I want to solve this for y. I want to get y by itself. So we're going to add 8x to both sides. 8x plus 0 is just 8x. We are then going to divide by 4. We got y by itself. Y equals 2x. This is the same thing as saying 2x plus 0. So that way I know my starting point is at 0, 0. My slope is 2, which is the same as 2 over 1. So we're going to go up 2, and we're going to go right 1. So from my 0, 0 point, we're going to go based off of our slope to find our next point. Our slope is 2 over 1, so we're going to go up 2, right 1. Up 2, right 1. Up 2, right 1. up 2, right 1. Connecting those dots. There's our first line. Same thing for the next equation. X plus 2y equals 5. Subtracting x from both sides. We're left with 2y equals negative x plus 5. And then dividing both sides by 2 to get y by itself. So y equals negative x over 2 plus 5 over 2, which is y equals negative 1/2 x plus 5 over 2. So this means our starting point is at 0,5 So in my calculator, 5 divided by 2 is 2.5. So that way it's easier for me to see the starting point. So 0, 2.5. And then we have our slope, which is negative 1 over 2. So I'm going to rise 1. It's negative, so that really means go down 1. And we're going to run 2. So down 1, right 2. So starting with my starting point of over 0, up 2.5. We're going to go down 1. So if we're at 2.5, going down 1, we're now at 1.5. And right 2. Connecting the dots. So those are our 2 lines. That's our system. Again, our solution to the system is the point where these 2 lines cross. So I see these 2 lines cross at this point right here. So over 1, up 2. So that is my answer. 1, 2 is my solution. That is the point where these 2 lines cross. So even though we didn't plot that point for this second line, it's okay, it still hits that point, so we're good to go. So that's solving by graphing. Our next method is solving by substitution. Again, remember we're talking about 3 different methods. The first one was graphing, now we're doing substitution. So it says use the substitution method to solve the following systems. So we have x plus y equals 24 and y equals 7x. So I want to try to find the solution. I want to try to find what does x equal, what does y equal. So I can't solve an equation when it has 2 variables, when it has 2 unknowns. So I need to make it where it all just has either x or all just has y. So what I know is y equals 7x. So I know for my first equation of x plus y equals 24, I know y is the same thing as 7x. Y equals 7x. So I can plug that in. So x plus 7x equals 24. I now have an equation with only x's in it. So I can solve to get x by itself. Combining like terms, 1x plus 7x will give us 8x. Getting x by itself, dividing both sides by 8. 8 divided by 8 gives us 1x left over. 24 divided by 8 is 3. I now know that x is 3. I can plug that x equals 3 into either equation to solve for y. I'm going to choose either one, doesn't matter. The second equation. So y equals 7. I know that x is 3, so I'm going to plug in 3 for x. So y equals 7 times 3, 21. I now know x, I now know y. So my solution is x comma y, so 3 comma 21. So I have 3 answer choices because I have 3 different options. I can either have one unique solution, I could have the solution set as the equation, which is our infinitely many solutions, where they're the same line. Or I could have the solution set as empty set, so meaning there's no solution. So those are our 3 options. We got a unique ordered pair, so my answer is A, 3 comma 21. Same thing for the next one. You use substitution to solve the following method, to solve the following equation. So 4y minus 8x equals 0, and x plus 2y equals 5. So this one didn't give me x equal or y equal, so I can pick either equation and solve for either variable. I'm going to choose to take the second equation and solve for x, because x is kind of already by itself. So if I were to subtract 2y from both sides, I would be left with x equals 5 minus 2y. So now I can take this and plug it into the other equation, plug it into the first equation. So 4y minus 8x equals 0. I now know that 4y minus 8, I know that x is the same thing as 5 minus 2y equals 0. So now I have an equation with only y's in it, so I can solve for y. I'm going to start by distributing this negative 8. So 4y, negative 8 times 5 is negative 40. Negative 8 times negative 2y is plus 16y equals 0. Combining like terms, 4y plus 16y will give us 20y minus 40 equals 0. Adding 40 to each side, we're left with 20y equals 40. Last but not least, dividing both sides by 20, we're left with y equals 2. So I now know what y equals. I can take this, plug it back to either equation. I'm going to choose to plug it into the second equation. I could have also plugged it in here. Doesn't matter either way. To solve for x, so I can plug in, I know y is 2. So x plus 2 times 2 is 4 equals 5. We're subtracting 4 from both sides. So we have x equals 1. So I now know my final answer is 1, 2, x, y. So going into my math lab, this is straight from my math lab. There's one solution, so our answer is A, and that one solution is 1, 2. So that was solving by graphing, solving by substitution. Our last method of the 3 is solving by elimination. So we're going to use the elimination method to solve the following system of equations. We have 4x plus y equals 10, and 2x minus 2y equals 7. So the whole point in this method is to eliminate either x or y, so that way we only have one variable, so we can solve for that variable. So, as of right now, if I were to add these two equations together, I get 4x plus 1x is 5x. 1y minus 2y is negative 1y. So none of these cancel. So I want to try to make them where one of them can cancel. So for example, there's many different options here. I want to choose to cancel out my y's. The reason why I'm choosing that is I have one positive and one negative. If I were to take this first equation and multiply it all by 2, and I'm choosing 2, whatever number works, that way I'd have positive 2y and negative 2y. So those two would cancel each other out. So we have 2 times 4x is 8x, 2 times y is plus 2y, equals 2 times 10 is 20. So again, I chose to eliminate my y's. So in order for my y's to eliminate, this first one had to be positive 2y, and the second one was negative 2y. So in order to make this first one positive 2y, I needed to multiply by 2. What you do to one side, do to the other, so I have to multiply everything by 2. The second equation is already negative 2y, so it's already set up good to go for us. So we're going to add these two together. 8x plus 1x would give us 9x. 2y minus 2y would cancel out and give us 0. That's what we wanted. We wanted to eliminate one of the variables. 20 plus 7 will give us 27. So I now have an equation that I can solve for x. Divide both sides by 9. X equals 3. Now that I know that x is 3, I can take that and plug it into either one of these equations. I'm going to choose the second equation. I'm going to plug in 3 for x. And I'm going to solve for y. I'm going to get my variables on one side and my numbers on the other. So I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. So negative 2y equals 7 minus 3 is 4. Divide both sides by negative 2. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 goes to 1y. Those cancel each other out. 4 divided by negative 2 is negative 2. So we have an answer for x, we have an answer for y. So our answer is one solution, which is x comma y, so 3 comma negative 2. So going back to my math lab answer choices, we have one solution, so letter A. And that solution is x comma y, which is 3 comma negative 2. So another elimination problem. We have x minus 4y equals 13 and 4x minus 16y equals 13. So I want to eliminate either one, doesn't matter. Either equation, either variable. I want this x is by itself, so let's try to eliminate my x's. So if this bottom one is positive 4x, in order to eliminate, this top one needs to be negative 4x. So in order to make that negative 4x, I'm going to multiply every single thing on both sides of the equal sign by negative 4. That'll leave me with negative 4x. Negative 4 times negative 4y will give me plus 16y equals negative 4 times 13 will give me negative 52. My second equation is already positive 4x, so it is good to go. So I can now add these two equations. Negative 4x plus 4x goes to 0. They eliminate. That's what I wanted. 16y minus 16y also eliminates, goes to 0. So on the left-hand side of my equals, I have nothing. They both canceled out, so I have 0. On the right-hand side, negative 52 plus 13. Negative 52 plus 13 should give us negative 39. So I'm left with 0 equals negative 39. This is a false statement. 0 does not equal negative 39. It got rid of my x, it got rid of my y's. So because we're left with a false statement, so we have no solution. Which my math lab, they use the empty set symbol. So we're going to say no solution, which is empty set, so letter C. Two more examples. Sorry, 4 more examples. So, solving the system, 2x plus 6y equals 6, and 3x plus 9y equals 9. So it doesn't tell us how to solve it. So we can use graphing, we can use substitution, or we can use elimination. So either way, doesn't matter. I'm going to choose to do, let's do elimination. Let's do elimination. So either way, my x's and my y's, nothing really looks set up for me. So I'm going to choose to eliminate my x's. So one of them has to be, I have 2x and I have 3x. So in order to make them the same, I want to make them both 6x. One has to be positive 6x, the other one has to be negative 6x. So in order to make this top x negative 6x, I'm going to put negative 3. I'm going to multiply every single thing by negative 3. That'll leave me with negative 3 times 2x is negative 6x. Negative 3 times 16y is minus 18y equals negative 3 times 6 would be negative 18. So I made the first x negative 6. I want to make the second x, I want to change it from 3x to 6x, so I'm going to multiply everything by 2. I want it to be positive 6x, so I'm going to leave it as positive 2. So that will change into 2 times 3x. That positive 6x we're looking for. 2 times 9y would be plus 18y equals 2 times 9 would give us 18. Now it's set up for us to eliminate. Now we're going to add the two together. Negative 6x plus 6x would give us 0. They cancel out. Negative 18y plus 18y would give us 0. They cancel out. So we're left with 0 on the left-hand side. Negative 18 plus 18, cancel out. We're left with 0 equals 0. This time we're left with a true statement. So we have infinitely many solutions. So every single point on this graph is going to cross with the other graph, and they're going to be the same line. So we have infinitely many solutions because we got a true statement. Next one, we have 12x plus 4y equals 13, and 3x plus y equals negative 13. Again, it doesn't specify, so I can use whatever method I want. I see for my second one that y is kind of already by itself. So I want to use a substitution method. Substitution method. Totally up to you though. So I want to get y by itself. So we're going to subtract 3x from both sides. We are left with y equals negative 13 minus 3x. I want to take that and plug it in to my top equation. So instead of y, I want to plug in negative 13 minus 3x. Negative 13 minus 3x. We are now going to distribute this positive 4. So we're left with 12x. 4 times negative 13 is negative 52. 4 times negative 3x is negative 12x equals 13. I have negative 12x minus 12x. Those cancel out. So we're left with negative 52 equals 13. Negative 52 does not equal 13. That's a false statement. My x's went away. I have no more variables. We're left with a false statement. So, no solution. Again, my math lab uses the empty set symbol. So a true statement is infinitely many solutions. A false statement is no solution. Last two examples. We're left with 2x equals 10 and y equals 13 minus x. So for this first equation, I only have x. I have 2x equals 10. I want to try to get the x by itself. We're going to divide both sides by 2. We're left with x equals 5. I now know what x is. I can plug it into my other equation. So y equals 13 minus x. We know x is 5. Y equals, we're left with 13 minus 5, which would give us our final answer of x equals 8. Sorry, y equals 8. So if x is 5, y is 8, we have one unique solution, which is 5, 8. X, y. And our last one, solving the system. 3x minus 7y equals 7, and 6x minus 14y equals 20. Again, choose whatever method you want. I'm going to choose to use the elimination method. The reason why is I see that I have 7y, negative 7y, and negative 14y. So if I can multiply by negative 2, I can make this one positive 14y. This one's negative 14y. Those would eliminate. So I'm going to multiply this first equation by negative 2. In doing so, negative 2 times 3x would be negative 6x. Negative 2 times negative 7y plus 14y equals negative 2 times 7 is negative 14. The second one is already negative 14x, so it is good to go for us. And now we can add the two together. Negative 6x plus 6x cancels out and goes to 0. 14y minus 14y cancels out, goes to 0. We're left with 0 equals negative 14 plus 20 would give us 6. So 0 does not equal 6. That is a false statement, and all of our variables canceled out. So no solution. Which in my math lab look like the empty set symbol. So this is all of Module 9 Homework 3. So this is everything that's going to be covered on Test 4, which covers Module 7, 8, and 9. If you have any questions, please email me.